Hello, this is Patrina Dixon, the It's My Money Lady. If you're listening to me across the Money Exchange podcast or you're watching us on It's My Money with Patrina Dixon, I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. If you haven't subscribed and you're looking at us from YouTube, make sure you drop down and hit that red subscribe button. We have a great episode for you today. So again, if you're newer, I'm Patrina Dixon, the It's My Money Lady. I am a personal finance coach and international best-selling author. And most recently, my husband and I started a publishing company for self-published authors. So check me out, follow me wherever you are on social at It's My Money _. So I'm so excited today to have Charmane Sellers on. Hey, Charmane.
Hi, Patrina. Thanks for having me on today.
Absolutely. So Charmane and I are two of the many recipients of a grant for our business. And we're in a group and I invited various folks to come on and Charlene is here today. So Charlene, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Again, I'm Charmane Seller, and I am the president and CEO of ALEON Properties, Inc., which it's a construction company. We're located in Austin, Texas. It was co-founded in 2003 between my husband and I, and we actually started doing residential. We were doing remodels and renovations, and then when that whole horrible mortgage debacle happened, we pivoted and we went to our strengths, mine being in government. I'm an Air Force veteran, and he is in commercial, and now we do renovations and remodels for government contracting, as well as commercial and universities, higher ed.
Wow.
And
so
we celebrated 19 years this year.
Oh, wow. So two things. Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your 19 years.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I was just going to say, until you said my husband and I was going to say, usually you don't see woman-owned construction companies. So I was going to say that, but it's 50% women-owned, right? So
no, it's actually 100%. It's just me.
Oh, it's just you. Okay, all right.
We specifically went for that because we are aware, especially with me being on the government side, that a majority of the woman-owned construction businesses, typically the woman was just the face and it was the man actually running it. I let him know I'm not that type of woman. I don't roll like that. And so we're going to start something together. I want to be able to bring what my skills to the table as well as his. So we structured it strategically where I'm the 100% sole officer and he was one of our executive team members. But sadly, yes. So
I
it
love
is 100%.
Listen, you said, hold on, wait a minute.
Yes.
Let me correct.
Exactly.
Love it. I love it so much. Oh my God.
Yes. So we were always a surprise when we showed up, you know.
So now I can ask the question I was going to ask. You being a woman, 100% woman-owned construction company, that's got to be one in not a lot, right? So
not a lot at all.
I'll call it minority from the perspective of 100% woman-owned construction company. Or am I misguided in that there's a lot more women-owned construction companies?
There are a lot more. We actually have a few organizations. One is Women in Construction and Executives. So women who actually own their own companies or they're executives in commercial contracting construction companies.
Awesome.
And we have those organizations. So there are a lot, but there's a small percentage that are actually women owned where we have started the company and grown the company and still participate in all of this operations, along with our team.
Okay, and that's what I want to talk about a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about how did you prepare financially for such a business? And well, let me step back. Why construction? And then how did you prepare financially to start such a business? And then follow that up with, so 3-pronged question is, how did you survive? I know one would be with the grant during the pandemic with your type of business. So again, we weave those 3 into your response.
Well, how we started in construction is that both my husband and I have entrepreneurial spirits. I am a second generation entrepreneur, and Bob, he always had a bug for being an entrepreneur. And we both came from communities where we had cross-pollination between the community business owners. So we saw business owners and professionals that look like ourselves in our community. But
You did. You
yes,
did.
we did. Each of us.
You did or did not?
We did.
Oh, okay, because
We did.
that's not common. So
No,
that's
it's not.
why I love it's not. That's why I love the platforms that I have, because one of the things I like to do, and especially when I can show it from a YouTube perspective, is you can see the business owners that I'm speaking with as opposed to just listening to them. Because you know, in some communities, some individuals don't see others like us across the screen right now. So it's good that you had that sort of representation where you're from.
Yes, it was rare that both of us, when we met, that we had that in common. The entrepreneurial spirit, but also our backgrounds in growing up. And we wanted to replicate that. And we've always been so intrigued and encouraged by what happened with Black Wall Street to be able to replicate that and carry forward what sadly our ancestors were robbed of.
Yes.
You know, and so we wanted to create a company where we could learn more about construction. And the goal for us really was to get enough experience under our belt, get enough revenue in, profit, and start our own communities building single family residences, as well as mixed use, where there would be small businesses that we know have a tough time renting space, and some name brand, which would be a draw to the community, and then livable spaces, and create those communities where we can keep the circulation of our currency within our communities longer than what it's been doing right now. So that's,
I love how you said revenue, then you paused yourself and said no profits.
Exactly. Exactly.
I think people
want to be clear on that.
Exactly, because I think people get, I'm not going to say people get confused. I want to make sure that people understand revenue, so what your business makes, is very different from the profits of the business. So I know there's the profit first, and I love the methodology taught in that book, or displayed and explained in that book, and also taught, because I know he teaches as well. But it's a big difference. So it's one thing to make a certain amount, it's one thing to have that certain amount as profit. I love as a guest, because you're like, no, hold up, let me make sure you get what I'm talking about right now.
That's right. That's right.
So okay, let me just say, I love the fact not only are you and your husband trying to build wealth or continue to build wealth for the two of you, that you're thinking about the bigger picture. And you brought up Black Wall Street and trying to replicate what you saw there, or create, so some don't like saying replicate that, but create your version of that with what, your skill set and within your business. So that's wonderful that you're thinking about it bigger than the wealth of the two of you. So I look kudos to you all for that as well.
Yes, and I'm glad that you were able to bring forth that distinction. Like you said, there's no way we could ever formally really replicate it, but that we can draw from.
That's right. That's right.
The history of what the magnitude of what they did.
Yeah,
that we could draw something from that. And the finance piece for us, because he worked in corporate for a long time, he used some of his savings, his retirement funds, and I had some savings, and so we used that to start, and then gradually we got business financing. But being a woman-owned business, there's been many hurdles about getting business financing, and oftentimes they did ask if he would co-sign, and we were just we're like, no.
So you say that, and definitely as a woman business owner, I completely understand what you're talking about. I do know, because I get a lot of various different grant opportunities across my desk. And I do know there's a lot of grant opportunities for women-owned businesses as well right now. So I know that you and I have had the wonderful opportunity in the receipt of a grant from, it was from PayPal, AEO. I don't know. I get confused.
It was PayPal.
It was from PayPal, right? But because of that, talk to me a little bit about the AEO connection to that PayPal grant.
Well, from what I learned is that AEO has been around for 30 years. And they are champions for small business small businesses.
Yes.
And so they help facilitate programs for huge investors like Wells Fargo, who was one of the sponsors, PayPal, and help them put together their programs, and also I don't want to say ferret through, but that they do the vetting of all of the people who put forth their applications. And let me tell you, I found out at the recent symposium that AEO had this for 30 years last week, that PayPal received 60,000 applications. They only awarded 1,400.
Wait a minute, hold on. I gotta write down that stat. They got 60,000
applications, and they awarded 1,400. And you and I were one of those. That is huge. That didn't hit. I mean, I knew it was big when we got it because I knew it was nationwide and everybody was really going through it in 2020. But to get those stats, for us to make it through, you talk about threading the needle.
What? You gotta talk about it. See, I'm a firm believer of what he has for you is for you. And yet you just sick. Let me just restate that for some, because I know I was so ecstatic. I was like writing it down so they may have not heard. So Miss Charmane and I are grant recipients of PayPal. PayPal gave us a grant to help sustain our business that was impacted by the pandemic. They got 60,000 applications. So let me let that marinate. 60,000 applications. Miss Sellers and I were 2 of 1,400.
Yes.
About that. Now I know that's a stat. I want to make sure
Isn't that amazing?
It's amazing. And you know, let me tell you, they since have created they sent us a wonderful package. And they since created a Facebook community so that we can interact with one another. Hence, Charmane on the podcast with me today. And they had a symposium, AEO had a symposium of 30 years, which Miss Sellers had an opportunity to attend. I was extended a VIP application or invite, but due to me working, I didn't see it in time, so I was unable to make it. But what I'm trying to say here is this: you never know, and what is for you is for you. There are a lot of grant opportunities out there. I know of those of you that are in my community, follow me on my newsletter. If you're not on my newsletter, you want to jump down in the show notes and get on it. I shared the opportunities that come across my email along through my community, because there's enough money out there for everyone. There's grants that are certain states. There's grants for women owned. There's a grant for veterans. There's a grants for construction companies, whatever it is. The only way that you can get a yes is by applying. Make sure you're eligible for whatever it is. If you have to be, some of them call for you being in business for a certain amount of time, some certain state, all of those things. As long as you are eligible, I encourage you to apply. Grants, you do not need to pay back like you did need to do loans. Okay, that's my commercial for that. I didn't know that, so I'm so excited that you shared that with me. So, okay, so the grant, I'm sure being in construction that you were impacted by what a lot of small business owners were by the pandemic. So I know we talked about one grant that you got. How else were you able to sustain? Did you get other grants? Did business start to pick up as the world started to open back up?
Well, in 2020 is when, really, what was that, March, when we got the word everything was supposed to shut down. That's typically the quarter when things start picking up for us. And so everything, basically projects we had just came to a screeching halt, because Austin was very diligent in making sure that they put every precaution in place to stop the spread. And so they were allowing work who are only essential workers. And unless we had a project like that, we had to shut down. And so that's when I started putting out for grants. The good thing is, like you say, from those profits, I did have some reserves available so I could keep my workers working, just finding small jobs, whatever leads that we could. But I actually put in for a Facebook grant. I actually won that.
Yay! Congratulations!
I put in for a PPP twice. through it's called People Fund. It's what do they call the CDFIs, the Community Development Finance Institutions, and they receive funds through the CRA, Community Reinvestment Act funds.
Yes.
And I'm a client of them, and I filed my PPP through them, and I received both rounds, and I used them for my team retention. And I was able to get both of them forgiven.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. That's what, yes, listen, I'm trying to, you know what, again, why I do, when I do this on these platforms and I bring people on like you, I want people to understand it's out there, but I know they didn't just knock on your door and say, hey, Mrs. Sellers, let me give you this money. Right. You filled out the proper paperwork and you were, number one, set up as a business with all, you know, all the right elements that you need for that, right? Starting with having a business structure, starting with having a business bank account, because they have to send the money somewhere, you all. So you have to make sure you got that set up. And then apply. So the money is there. There's still money there. So I encourage that. And then as you heard here, when the opportunities became available for applying for forgiveness, because you had to apply to be forgiven.
Yes, you did.
You also got both of those forgiven. So when I tell you and share with you grants that are available when you're looking for various different ways, don't rely on loans if you do not have to. Now, loans are great if you need them. But there's always, free money is always better. So I encourage you to try to continue to gain capital to sustain your business through that channel. Now, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of what you're sharing. That look at you, you're like coming through, your happiness is exuding through the screen. I absolutely love it. Okay, so you got those, you were able to sustain your staff, which is great, your business. Now, I know for construction, and you're right, in the heat of the time was your I'll call it your busiest quarter, one of your busiest quarters when it was starting to shut down. And you said you lived in a state that actually did, you know, extreme precautions to make sure that it didn't spread. What kept you afloat? You said small jobs, but that can only be done for so long. How did you sustain to now 2022, sitting here still smiling and attending and business still thriving? How were you able to do that?
Well, one of the things is we decided when we did our pivot from residential that we wanted to diversify our services so that we would have different income streams coming in. Whenever one area might level off or dip down, we have another one that's coming in. And so one of the strategies we used was to go for government contracts, because government contracts typically are multi-year. So that way we could have a recurring revenue every year, when in commercial, it's typically a steady grind of putting out bids after each project.
Got it.
So so that's what kept, and I had 2 government contracts at the time that were still in place.
I love it.
And so that helped with getting it through. And we've done storm damage work before when we did residential. And so in 2021, when Texas had that huge, unheard of snow and ice storm that shut down everything. There was flooding in people's homes because they never had snow, so
they know how to act, right? See,
so
I live in New England. We're used to snow. So when we see people shut school down when they get dusting, we always laugh at that, like, oh my goodness.
So we got work through that, you know, reaching out to previous residential clients, and you know, kept it going. And, you know, I just want to share with you, not only was I going through the pandemic and doing what I can to keep the company going forward, but sadly, Bobby, he passed away unexpectedly in 2018.
Oh, gosh.
He was only 55 years old.
I'm so hear that.
Yeah, so just 2 weeks after his service, we had 9 projects that were going on, 6 residential, 2 design build university classrooms, and 1 historic school. And our team, we stuck together, we got through, we were able to finish by early 2020. And so we didn't get any callback. We've had an excellent safety record. And by having those projects, I was able to reach out to some other people that put recommended me to other people, and that, we've built relationships from the beginning, and even during my lowest and worst of times that I didn't even think I could go on. My community and our team kept us going. And, it's been a lot. It's been a
I'm
lot.
gonna pause for a moment. Just yeah.
It's been a lot. So
I'm
one of
sorry.
the things that really has driven me since is that we wanted to set up a legacy, and he worked very, very hard. He loved what he did. We love what we did together. And I just have to keep it going for myself and for him, in loving memory and in honor of him and all he did.
He's proud. He's proud. The way you talk about what happened in 2018, you said?
2018, yes.
2018, like it was yesterday. You talked about it, and you talked about what contracts you had, what you had. That means it's here. It's here. And if you didn't say that, I would not know that you were. It sounds like you're carrying on the torch he started, and the mission that you were upon, and you had the right support system around you to continue to make it happen. So I'm congratulations.
Thank you so much.
It makes your story even greater. It makes your story even greater. Yes.
And many of the naysayers, they thought that they never, even though they would see me out, they didn't really believe that both of us contributed to this. And that I don't know how to build things like he did, but I do know the systems. Yeah. If I didn't, I wouldn't have been able to keep going.
And you know what I tell people, because I work with a lot of people that are aspiring to be entrepreneurs, and they ask me various different questions. And one of the things that I say that I believe contributes to the success of my business is I know what I don't know how to do, or what I don't, and what I don't like to do, and that's what I hire for. So, and when you identify your weakness, to both your strength and your weakness, you do you in the business, and you hire for or get a system to do the things you don't know how to do. And that is being the CEO of a business, in my opinion. I'm not trying to do everything. I don't even want to do everything. You know what I mean? No. So well, job well done, my friend. Job well done.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
So there will be, I'm sure, people listening from both perspectives want to see how you did it, right? And there's people that may want to follow what you're doing. So give us 2 to 3 steps. If somebody's listening, a woman that's interested, anybody, I'm not going to say just woman, interested in getting in the construction business, what's the 2, 3 top things you would tell them that they should consider from this point on?
Well, the first thing I would tell them is that make sure that they have a strong will and mental fortitude, because when the tough times come, you're really going to need it to get through. Yes. So a lot of people say love what you do. Yes, but you need to have that mental fortitude and a stomach to get through those times when you're making all your payroll, but you may be eating ramen noodles. Okay.
put some adobo on it. You'll be okay. No.
Exactly. Okay. And the second thing is do your research. If there are certain things, whether it's construction or whatever business you want to go in, do your research and see, look at the companies and people that are doing what you may aspire to do, and then figure out really what does it take, because a lot of times people see things and they think it's all glitz and glamour, and they don't know all that it takes behind the scenes to get it done.
That's right.
And the third, which is equally important, is to have your financials straight. Okay. They want to have your FICO as good as possible. Nobody's is perfect. You want to really know and learn about your profit and loss statements, your income statements, your balance sheet, what that means, your cash flow, what they call your debt to service coverage ratio, how much money you're bringing, how much money you spend, and they want to see how much money you're bringing in, usually double or 3 times what you're putting out. Know those things before you go in. And when you choose a bank, they all have annual report. Look at their annual reports and see, do they loan to businesses in your industry? Because one thing that I have learned is that we've deposited, I'm not even going to say how much we've deposited, lots and lots of money in banks. And when we go to get loans, they don't lend to us. So you want to interview your bank. Just as much as we're eager to get their money, they need to be eager to get our business and not just our deposit.
You better talk about it,
loan us
girlfriend.
money. That's it. And,
You better go, girlfriend. She said, y'all heard it here. Y'all heard Miss Charmane tell us to interview that bank. Let me see what y'all normally do on an annual basis. If y'all not helping out the community and loan it to small businesses, you can't get none of my money. Exactly right. I love it so much. So, you know, with the way you dropped the knowledge down, you gave them the 3: mental fortitude, research, and you know I love number 3, finances in order. People are going to want to find Miss Charmane Sellers. How can they find you, my friend?
They can find me. My company's name is ALEON, which is spelled ALEON Properties, Inc. The name is actually in memory of my mom. Her name was Leona. I put the A on the front. That's another thing that drives me whenever I need to keep going. So it's ALEON Properties, Inc. We're in Austin, Texas. So if you type in www.aleonpropertiesinc.com, you'll see our website. We have a contact us form there, and our number is area code 512-217-5555.
Thank you so much, and that information will be dropped in the show notes as well. Ms. Sellers, thank you for being on the Money Exchange, or It's My Money with Patrina Dixon.
All right, well, thank you, Patrina, and good luck to all, well, not good luck, much success to you, and much success to all of your listeners and whatever their entrepreneurial endeavors will be.
Thank you so much. And to all of you, you've heard it here. I appreciate you as always. And again, if you have not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button or follow if you're listening on an audio platform. And you know, she talked about finances in order. So drop down and get your money management workbook as well if you need that. And if you need electronic budget envelopes, you want to check out Cube Money. My link for them will be below as well. So thanks again for hanging with Patrina Dixon, the It's My Money lady. Enjoy your day.
Thanks, Patrina.